In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers touched the clouds and the streets buzzed with energy, a luxury automobile company prepared to make history. The grand showroom gleamed under dazzling lights, its glass walls reflecting the flash of cameras. Journalists from top networks, wealthy investors, and elite car enthusiasts had gathered for one reason: to witness the unveiling of a revolutionary concept car. This wasn't just any car, it was meant to redefine the future of luxury. Performance vehicles? Every seat in the hall was filled with anticipation, eyes fixed on the center stage, where the CEO was about to make his mark. The CEO, a tall, confident man in a perfectly tailored suit, stepped onto the stage with the kind of presence that commanded attention. His smile radiated charm, but behind it was a pride only a billionaire could carry. Standing beside the sleek, futuristic car, he stretched out his arm dramatically, as if presenting a masterpiece. The car's polished surface sparkled under the spotlight, its curves sculpted with precision, and its engine rumored to be the most advanced ever built. The crowd leaned forward as he placed his hand on the ignition button, expecting to hear the smooth, powerful roar that would symbolize innovation at its finest. But instead, the moment fell flat. The engine sputtered, gave a weak click, and then silence. The CEO tried again, pressing the ignition with growing unease. But the car refused to start. The showroom filled with awkward murmurs. Some laughed nervously, others frowned in disappointment. Cameras zoomed in, capturing the uneasiness in real time. The CEO forced a laugh, brushing it off. "Looks like even million-dollar engines have bad days," he quipped, his voice echoing through the hall. Yet the tension in the room was undeniable. This wasn't part of the script. This was supposed to be a flawless display. Within moments, engineers in crisp suits rushed onto the stage. Each carried diagnostic tablets and tools, moving quickly and quietly, trying not to look panicked. They checked connections, ran tests, and whispered hurriedly among themselves, but nothing seemed to work. Sweat formed on their foreheads as the seconds dragged on. Investors exchanged skeptical looks. Journalists scribbled notes, already imagining headlines mocking the failed launch. Every tick of the clock made the atmosphere heavier. The CEO folded his arms, still trying to appear in control, but his forced smile betrayed a flicker of doubt. Then, breaking through the uneasy silence, a voice rang out from the crowd. It wasn't loud, but it was clear and confident. "I think I know what's wrong," the voice said. People turned their heads in surprise, looking for the source. Standing near the edge of the hall was a young girl, no older than 12, with bright eyes and a calm demeanor. Her name was Emily, and she was there simply as a guest, tagging along with her father, who had been invited to the event. No one expected a child to speak up in a room filled with professionals, but she had. The crowd chuckled softly, some amused, some dismissive. A few whispered under their breath, wondering what a child could possibly know about a car worth millions of dollars. The CEO, standing tall on the stage, narrowed his eyes and leaned forward. He was a man used to controlling situations, and he wasn't about to be upstaged by a kid. With a mix of sarcasm and arrogance, he replied loudly enough for the whole room to hear. "Oh, really? You think you can fix this engine when my team of experts can't?" His tone carried the kind of laughter that invited others to join in. The crowd did, shaking their heads in disbelief. Emily didn't flinch. She didn't giggle nervously or retreat into the crowd. Instead, she stepped forward, her gaze steady, her expression confident in a way that made people pause. She wasn't joking. The CEO, perhaps feeling the pressure of the moment, smirked and raised the stakes. "Tell you what," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "If you can fix this engine, I'll give you $1 million. The room erupted in laughter. The idea seemed absurd, an impossible challenge thrown at a little girl. It was meant to end the moment with humor, to restore the CEO's control of the stage. But Emily didn't laugh. She didn't hesitate. She walked forward with calm determination, her eyes locked on the car. The crowd's laughter faded into a murmur as people realized she was serious. Her father called out her name softly, worried, but she kept moving. The spotlight shifted, unintentionally following her small figure as she approached the massive vehicle. The CEO raised an eyebrow, expecting her to back down. expecting her to freeze under the pressure. Yet with every step she took, the room grew quieter. By the time she reached the stage, silence had replaced laughter. Everyone was watching the little girl, who dared to step up where professionals had failed. Emily rolled up her sleeves without hesitation, ignoring the murmurs that rippled through the crowd. The bright lights of the showroom gleamed against the polished hood as she leaned forward, her small hands moving with remarkable confidence. Each motion carried a precision that stunned the engineers standing nearby. She disconnected a set of wires, adjusted a delicate sensor, and inspected a fuel line that everyone else had overlooked. Her movements weren't guesses, they were deliberate. The audience, expecting hesitation or failure, instead found themselves spellbound by the calm focus of a 12-year-old girl who seemed to know exactly what she was doing. The entire room fell silent, as if holding its breath. Reporters froze mid-sentence. Cameras zoomed in to capture the unbelievable sight, and even the engineers, who moments earlier had been frantically checking their data tablets, now stood aside in quiet astonishment. This wasn't a game anymore. In less than 5 minutes, Emily made final adjustments, gently closed the hood and stepped back. Her eyes turned toward the CEO, who was still half smiling, though now that smile carried more uncertainty than arrogance. With the voice steady as stone, Emily said, "Try it now." For a split second, the CEO hesitated, almost as if he wanted to delay what might happen next. Then, brushing off his doubt, he pressed the ignition button once again. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. The engine roared to life instantly, its deep, powerful hum filling the showroom with the kind of sound every car enthusiast longed to hear. It was smooth, strong, and flawless. Gasps filled the room before they exploded into thunderous applause. The moment that had begun with embarrassment and laughter now transformed into triumph. And it was all because of a 12-year-old girl. Flashes from cameras lit the room like fireworks as journalists scrambled to capture the historic moment. Reporters rushed forward, their voices overlapping, eager to get the first quote, the first photograph, the first headline. Investors, moments earlier preparing to walk out in disappointment, now leaned forward with renewed interest. The audience clapped, whistled, and cheered louder than they had all evening. For the first time, the spotlight shifted completely off the CEO and onto Emily, who stood quietly, her expression a mixture of relief and confidence, as if she had just proven something she already knew to herself and to the world. The CEO, however, stood frozen in disbelief. Just minutes ago, he had been the center of attention, untouchable in his wealth and authority. Now his pride was shaken by a child who had done what his best-paid engineers could not. His mocking words replayed in his mind, "Fix this engine, and I'll give you $1 million." He had laughed then, but he wasn't laughing now. Slowly, almost reluctantly, he turned toward Emily, his voice stripped of arrogance. "Who taught you that?" he asked, his tone carrying genuine awe. Emily looked up at him with a small, humble smile. Her answer was simple yet powerful. "My dad's a mechanic," she said softly. "I've been learning from him since I was little." The crowd reacted with another wave of admiration, some clapping again, others nodding in respect. In that moment, the contrast between privilege and hard-earned knowledge could not have been clearer. While the CEO had relied on wealth and status, Emily had relied on experience, practice, and the lessons passed down by her hard-working father. Her words reminded everyone in the room that greatness often comes from the most unexpected places. True to his word, the CEO had no choice but to honor his promise. He called for his assistant, who immediately began arranging the transfer. The idea of parting with $1 million clearly stung his pride, but his authority left him no escape. Cameras captured the moment as Emily's father stepped forward, overwhelmed with pride and emotion. He had brought his daughter to the event simply to inspire her, never imagining she would become the star of the night. As the news spread, Emily was no longer just a girl in the audience. She had become a symbol of talent, courage, and intelligence. That day, Emily walked away not just with the life-changing reward of $1 million, but with something far greater, the respect of an entire industry. Her name trended across news channels and social media platforms within hours. Headlines called her a 12-year-old, prodigy mechanic, and the girl who outsmarted engineers. People admired her bravery, her calm under pressure, and her ability to rise in a moment when even adults had failed. Investors whispered about her potential, engineers felt humbled, and the CEO, though shaken, found himself strangely inspired. In the end, Emily's story became more than just a viral moment in a New York showroom. It became a lesson about humility, about the power of knowledge, and about the courage to step forward when others step back. A young girl who had no title, no wealth, and no recognition, stunned the world simply by believing in what she knew. That night, as father and daughter walked out into the glittering New York streets, holding hands, Emily carried more than just a promise fulfilled. She carried the beginning of a story that would inspire countless others to believe that even the smallest voices can create the loudest echoes.